Hi, my name is Enrique. Here at Empower Brokerage, we have many questions from either our agents or our policy owners, and I'll be covering the topic today of premiums. Well, if you do have a policy in place and you have that policy being paid by bank draft, which is the most recommended way to do any payment nowadays. So if you have a policy, it's being paid on a monthly basis, quarterly basis, or even annual, any one of these methods is an acceptable way to pay your policy. Now, let's say, for an example, you move or you change banks and there's no payment being made, or there was no deposit that went into your account, or there was fraud. Well, that may cause where the policy premium payment is not sent to the carrier. So most carriers have a 30-day grace period, especially for term policies. So if you do not make your premium payment, you'll be you should expect a notice in the email. I highly suggest to many of our agents now to put a email on the policy so that you can get notified via email. But most of us are accustomed to getting these type of notices in our old-fashioned snail mail. So if that should happen, again, you have 30 days to bring it current. If for whatever reason it goes beyond the 30 days, you run the risk of the policy lapsing. So if the policy lapses after the grace period, and for all practical purposes, you no longer have life insurance in force. So God forbid you pass away after it lapses, and your family is without any benefit. They will not get any life insurance coverage. So that is, in short, what happens if you do not pay your policy premiums for whatever reason. The policy is lapsed. Now, the other thing to keep in mind, if it was unintentional and you wish to reinstate your policy after it's lapsed, you typically have 60 to 90 days to do so. In other words, pay about 2 to 3 months of premium, and the policy is set back in place, and going forward, you have your coverage. Now, depending on the carrier, that if it's gone far too many days of that period of it lapsing, you may have to do a quote-unquote reapplication for that same policy. So in other words, it's not an automatic reinstatement. Your agent may have a form for you to complete to document the current state of your health, that there have been no material changes since you initially applied for and obtained the coverage. So if there's been a material health change, well, I don't know what the carrier may or may not do, but for the most part, I've seen that there's been no material changes. You submit the form, you pretty much are affirming that there's been no material health changes, and you pay your premium, and your policy's back in force. Now, be sure to check with your agent if the policy has indeed lapsed, because for the most part, at that point, and again, you cannot get it reinstated by simply using the form, then in this case, you may have an option of either reapplying, as I mentioned, full underwriting for that same policy, or even looking into a new policy and comparing the two as far as coverage and benefits going forward. Once more, the whole idea is to keep your policy in force by keeping your payments coming in. One thing is to do it by bank draft. And the other thing that I'll mention at this point, some carriers allow a second addressee on the notifications of your policy status. In other words, what that means is that if I forgot to make my payment, or I didn't make a deposit, and then I so happen to be on vacation, or something that's keeping me from attending to my mail or my cell phone, well, the second addressee will get notification that a premium payment, in this case, is needed to keep the policy enforced. For the most part, that's the only information that second addressee would get, and they would get it either by phone call, by mail, snail mail, or even email, so that way they can notify the policy owner, policy payer, that the policy is in jeopardy of lapsing. Now, that's a lot to cover in this session, so if you have any questions, give us a call here at Empower Brokerage at 888-539-1633. Thank you.